Hello and welcome to another episode of Frugal Finance. Today we're going to have a look at how to do a cheap or low cost kitchen refurbishment. So we're going to have a look at one of the kitchens that we've refurbished and really tot up how I did that and how you can keep the cost down and actually achieve quite a nice finish. So without further ado, please do smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, comment below, and with that said, let's get stuck in. So what do we do? So we had a previous kitchen which was actually getting a bit dated now. I mean, it's about 10 years old and in all sense and purposes it's quite a nice kitchen, but it is showing its wear and tear and needed a bit of a refurbishment. And I really feel like, you know, that's a good thing to do, to lift and continue maintaining the property in order for it to kind of, you know, still maintain its value and maintain its kind of sellability, if you like. So we're just going to have a look at a few photographs of sort of before and after, and I'll talk over the top of them and tell you kind of what I've done and, you know, roughly how I can save money and what the systems are to do in order to actually refurbish them. And some of it will depend on your technical skill, but there are lots of things that most people can probably do. So let's get on and have a look at the sort of before and after, and we'll kind of have an overview of everything that was done.
So here's just some photos of the property when we first picked it up. As you can see, it was in a complete and utter state. It wasn't really fit for anything. We actually had to make a kitchen in the dining room in order to live in it. So that was phase one. And then phase two was really just to put the new kitchen in. So as you can see, here are some photographs of the new kitchen, which was quite a nice kitchen at the time, but obviously over the last 10 years or so it's become a bit worn out in places due to just general wear and tear, really. So this project really was about kind of refurbishing this kitchen and making sure that it actually held its value still. So you'll see in this picture we've got a boiler in the corner that has obviously moved, which we'll touch on in a minute. So some of the things that you'll need is obviously some tiles and some grout, various bits of worktop and so on. So you'll see that in a minute we'll cover all of these tasks, but obviously you are going to need to spend some money on materials. So tot up what you think is going to make a difference. I think things like tiling and worktop really do change a thing. So on top of obviously that, you will need some tools. I mean, this is a tile cutter, and now you could get a tiler in. Obviously it depends on your skill level. And also space for storing these things. Remember, you're not a contractor, so you've got to put it somewhere afterwards. And then generally things like painting and stuff, that really does spruce up the finished product, if you like, by painting the walls and the ceiling. It's like the icing on the cake, essentially, and without that you can actually undo all your hard work. So one of the other things that we looked at doing here is we put in one of these induction hobs. It saves electricity because it uses magnets, but we went for that on that basis. So then we installed a new sink. As you'll see, the previous one was white and this one is now black with a new tap. It gives it a nice contrast against the new work surface, which is grey as opposed to the kind of darker slate style ones that we fitted before even. So the long-term plan is actually to change the flooring so that it contrasts with this, but actually they give a nice kind of medium balance so that we've gotten a kind of interim refurbishment, if you like. And then the next thing for us to do was actually a project which never really got off the ground, which was to actually tile around a splashback round. So we wanted to go for a random style pattern. So we ended up buying about 6 boxes of tiles to create this random pattern, which you'll see throughout the kitchen. Here's a kind of fisheye lens style view of the finished product, but you can see the boiler's gone in the corner. You've got new sink in, grey worktop, nice new induction hob, and the funky tiling mismatched pattern style thing all the way round. So I believe that this has really smartened up the kitchen, and the whole cost of this was probably only maybe £700 all in all. Cost of tiles, worktop and the rest of it. I did have to get someone in to fit the worktop because I just don't own the tools and I haven't got the space to have too many tools around. And tiling, obviously I can do that myself. So, you know, you could budget £1,000 and end up in what is quite a nice new kitchen.
So as you can see, that was a light refurbishment of a kitchen, and by choosing things that are relatively available from the shops, we're actually quite lucky in the sense that using the kind of cookie cutter approach, even on our own house from our other developments, that is, that things like the cupboard doors are still made at the supplier. So there were a couple of damaged cupboard doors as well, which we replaced, and they look just as good as new. And the likelihood is, if you don't go down the kind of more generic wholesaler route, you know, if you go to your more specialist wholesalers, then the designs don't stay the same. So that's been quite useful. Obviously, you know, I would regard my skill level as reasonably high in terms of being able to do a lot of these DIY works. So your skill level has to be looked at when costing these things. But we're talking sort of £300, £350 for the worktop. It was discounted at the time, and then obviously paying someone to fit it, you know, that's cost maybe sort of £400, and then obviously you've got things like the sink, tap, and the rest of it. All of that's coming at around probably about £650, £700. Tiles were pretty cheap, and I already owned some of the grout, so even if you said you had to go out and buy those things, you're looking at probably less than £1,000 for all of that lot. Obviously the induction hob is on top of that. That's a luxury item that we chose to install. We didn't need to do that. We could have used the other hob, and to all intents and purposes they don't actually look that different. They're just black, flush, no buttons on the top, both of them. It's the technology inside that is, you know, has cost the money there. All other appliances have stayed the same pretty much. Obviously, as you'll note, the boiler's gone from the corner, which was a big feature of the kitchen because it was quite in the way, to be honest. That is a two-part project. We moved it upstairs some time ago and then never made good the wall. So that was part of this project. So hopefully that gives you some really good ideas of how you can actually transform what is, you know, starting to look like quite a tired kitchen into something that looks like, to all intents and purposes, a brand new kitchen, or it hasn't been installed that long. And I think kitchens and bathrooms are definitely an entrance places, because they're one of the first places you come into, are really the key selling points to a property. I mean, for example, in this house that I'm in right now, we have the laminate flooring is the same throughout the house, and it goes up the stairwell, so it's all in the treads here. And I have had numerous contractors compliment me on that work, which I did myself. But I think whilst the cost of it was high over, say, leaving it open tread or wrapping it in carpet, which is what most of the people in the street have done, I do think that is a really good feature. As you open the door, you come in through this double set of doors here, extra wide, makes it feel really light. You come straight in and there's this nice flow of laminate flooring all the way clad up. So I think those sort of areas, along with kitchens, bathrooms and the rest, are real selling points to a property, and distinguish them from being quite average. So I hope that's been really useful to you. If you want to look at any of the links in the description below, there's various things to free shares and stocks and bits and bobs if you want to set up accounts for those. So please do feel free to have a look at that. Share the video about, like, comment. Please do feel free to let me know if there's any refurbishment projects that you'd like to know more about, or any advice or anything that you've done that you found quite useful in terms of saving costs and things. So with that said, please do like the video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I shall see you next time.